The Art Gallery of Hamilton turned 100 years old last year in 2014, and I was tasked with the challenge to come up with a thematic contemporary show that will bring certain artists together around a shared idea. I had been thinking about this idea of artists working with intuitive practices and thinking about the experience that a visitor has in the room with their work. So it's a consideration of how we experience the concept and the idea through the materials that the artist has chosen. So the exhibition ranges in media for that reason. So there's everything from painting to photography to video to sculpture and installation to talk about ways of understanding, ways of learning, perception, and art in general.
I think one of the underpinning concerns and thrills in our work is the movement between an idea or a concept into a material form or into a material reality. I think it's also the place where a lot of mystery and the magic of what art can be opens up.
When That Was This is an immersive installation at the center of which is a large sculptural composition made out of cinefoil impressions made from sculptures or taken from sculptures around the world. It's also a light and sound composition that creates a kind of theatrical environment.
I really loved I love the idea of Melissa's curation in the sense that our work has been very engaged in this importance of the role of experience, because experience actually is the mediating term that goes between an idea and a material reality.
I guess like our experience of making the work is then translated to the perceiver's experience of perceiving the work. All these different sort of like experiential moments conflated into the same space.
So in my research for this exhibition, it was 3 years of research and a lot of studio visits and travel to other exhibitions, and finally narrowed it down to 6 artists who were really honing in on the concept in completely different ways that was going to provide an experience that showed enough variety, was an observation about what's happening in contemporary art around the world today, but all centered around this theme of art and experience. Jessica Eaton's work is looking at the technologies of photography and the ways of experiencing three-dimensional objects in a two-dimensional way. Nadia Belerique's work is looking at the relationship between photography and sculpture, but also the experience of the viewer within an installation that she's positioned in a specific way. Hadley+Maxwell are looking at the trans-historical moment that we live in through a multimedia installation that causes an immersive and theatrical experience of the way that we can experience the past in the present. Doho Sa draws attention to the way that we memorialize the spaces around us and calls attention to the way that memory can be fleeting and the very tangible yet ephemeral way that we understand the things around us. Olafur Eliasson is executing a very simple example of the way that a viewer can be aware of their body in the space. His work in general asks viewers to see themselves seeing, and with many of his pieces, he's trying that as a thesis. Dorian FitzGerald's work is really compelling for its sheer scale and its rich material qualities, and his use of single-point perspective into really interesting architectural spaces. And he uses those factors to sort of draw us into an interesting cultural critique. In working in my field, I often get the remark that contemporary art is really difficult to understand. I wanted to kind of take this question or problem up as a challenge to present and welcome anyone who believes that it might be challenging to understand contemporary art, to invite them to open their minds and be present with the work. And that's exactly what the artists in this exhibition have intended.